What's up, True Heel Heat? True Heel Heat. What's up? True Heel Heat. All hands is on me.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are live, but not on the right brand for our WWE Survivor Series War Games Roundtable review. Here to discuss the show, the premium live event from WWE from last night. I am here with my esteemed colleague. You see him on Rated Raw Superstars, all the watch along, including last night. The True Jaw, Josh.
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm still trying to wake up.
It's okay. It's totally fine. You had a long night. You went through 2 War Games matches. You're an Iron Man, sir. You're an Iron Man. Went through both of those 40-minute matches. And we have with a special guest. You've seen him on True Hill Heat Sports. You've seen him here on the channel during a bunch of our watch-alongs. Special guest with us, Justin. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today, sir? This Sunday morning.
I feel like I just went through both War Games matches. Jesus.
Those matches become long when it's not formatted right and you have a bunch of complaints, but it was a good show from WWE. So, of course, we want to hear from all of you in the live chat, all of you joining us. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, watching us on demand, remember to drop the thumbs up on the video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And, of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button, hit the heart button, hit the laugh emoji, angry emoji. However,
sorry about that.
Botches
within the ad.
Don't worry. I botched to open the show. We got more botches to come. But remember to show some love on Facebook as well as Twitter and sound off in the live chat. We want to hear your thoughts on Survivor Series War Games. Of course, if you want your chat read out on screen or highlighted, you have a question for myself, Josh, or Justin, please send those super chat donations. If you're feeling generous, it's Thanksgiving weekend, or that money's going to hit the contributors here in the later half, Christmas week. So we're going to be feeling very broke around that time. So show your appreciation for what we do here. Like Vala B, who sends a super chat donation, says, I thought I'd have to stop calling y'all my dogs, but seems like I got to lay it in harder now, my dogs. Yes. My dog, Sami Zayn, you saw him in the title here, so don't worry. We're going to talk all about Sami Zayn, the drama with the Bloodline. We got Nikki Boy with us in the chat saying, sup, gang. Vala B saying hi to everyone as well. We got Joseph with it, 5th generation, saying, hope everyone's good this morning. And Vala B calling out Justin for getting us a copyright claim. Don't worry. We can clip that out.
Apologize.
No worries. As always, to start the review, I want to ask you guys kind of one word to describe your feelings on WWE Survivor Series War Games. So what would that be for you, Justin?
Oozy. Very, very oozy.
That sounds fair. How about you, Josh?
Passable.
I love that. I feel we're gonna have 3 different opinions on this show based on that answer. For me, it would be questions. I have questions. I have questions following Survivor Series War Games, but keep sounding off in the live chat if you're watching us on demand. Let us know what you thought about Survivor Series War Games as we talk all about the show. And I think it's fair that we do what we did last week, Josh. You know, we talked about the main event to start the show. I think it's fair that we do that again this week, and we start with the second of 2 War Games matches on the night, the men's War Games, but it was kind of a night-long narrative thread that led up to the men's War Games prior to the main event matchup. We saw backstage a couple of segments. We saw Jey Uso approaching Roman Reigns to let him know what went down last night on SmackDown the night prior, with Sami Zayn talking to Kevin Owens backstage and Jey Uso overhearing it, and then Sami lying to him. So Roman decided to tell Paul Heyman that he needs to get him Sami. Get him Sami. So Sami Zayn, the honorary Uso, came to see Roman Reigns. They had a discussion where Roman questioned him if he talked to Kevin Owens last night on SmackDown, and Sami Zayn told him the truth that he did. And then he asked him, why did he lie to Jey Uso? And he said that Jey had the big advantage match, and Jey is irrational, and he wouldn't have understood that, so he didn't want to distract him. And he was like, what did Kevin Owens say to him? And Sami admitted that Kevin Owens said that he needs to turn on the bloodline before the bloodline turns on him. So Roman asked him, what is he going to do? And he says that he is loyal to the bloodline. They accepted him as family. And tonight he's going to prove himself. And Roman decides that he's going to believe Sami and gives him a hug, but then has this stern, evil look on his face at the end. And then we had another segment with Jey and Roman where Roman says that he looked Sami in the eyes and he learned everything he needed to know. Very cryptic, and it led into the men's War Games main event as the Bloodline, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Solo Sikoa, and the undisputed tag team champions Jey and Jimmy Uso with Paul Heyman versus Team Brawling Brutes, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. I love this picture here because if you zoom in on Sami, the look of conflict and the look of nervousness on his face. This match started with Butch and Jey Uso in the ring. They had a nice little sequence before, of course, the baby faces had the advantage with Ridge Holland coming in next. They beat the crap out of Jey Uso. I did like the Butch and Jey Uso portion of this, with Butch working over the right hand of the right-hand man, Jey Uso, which is the injured wrist of Jey Uso. And then when it was the Bloodline's turn to even the odds in War Games, it looked like Jimmy Uso was going to come out and assist his twin brother, but Roman Reigns stopped him and told Sami to go. And Sami got a huge Sami Uso chant. He went slowly into the ring and then got in there. Him and Jey, of course, had their conflict, had their issues throughout this entire match, arguing throughout with but at various times Sami saving Jey from various attacks from the baby faces, all the while the big dog, the tribal chief was sitting court in his cage. This was a great sight, wonderful sight. Roman Reigns sitting in the cage was a great touch. McIntyre was in next. Then came Jimmy Uso. Then came Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa looked really good in this one, looked very strong during his portion when he ran wild on the Brutes. Then came Kevin Owens. We got a nice little sequence between Owens and Sikoa. Sikoa then had a nice little stare down with Drew McIntyre as well. Sheamus came in next. And then finally, Roman Reigns to complete the men's War Games as it begun. Action broke down. At one point, Jey Uso looked for a super kick on Butch, but he moved out the way and he wound up hitting Sami Zayn. Jimmy Uso questioning on why he did that, or, the accidental quote unquote super kick. All the competitors go down. There's tables broken, big moves back and forth, and it leads to our big crescendo as Kevin Owens looks like he has Roman Reigns beat once again, hits the stunner, has Roman Reigns pinned. The referee counts 1, 2, and Sami Zayn stops the referee from counting 3, leading to a big reaction from the fans. Owens and Zayn stare down at each other before Owens yells at him. The crowd loudly chants Sami Uso. Owens blocks a Jimmy Uso super kick, and then Sami Zayn delivers the killing blow, the low blow, to his best friend Kevin Owens. Zayn then looks at Reigns, and he gets the sign of approval or the orders to lay down the final hit. He hits the Aluva kick on Kevin Owens in a callback to Battlegrounds 2016. Owens falls on his chest, but instead of delivering another Aluva kick, Zayn lays Owens down for Jey Uso to hit the splash. They meet eyes, and Sami Zayn delivers it to the right-hand man to hit the big splash, and Jey Uso pins Kevin Owens. 1, 2, 3. The Bloodline win the men's War Games match. Sami Zayn reinforces his loyalty to the Bloodline, and then the post-match I felt was even better than the crescendo and the finish to this matchup, as Roman Reigns puts his arms out. He gives a hug to Sami Zayn, and then the even better touch, Jey Uso hugs Sami Zayn. Now Sami has been officially accepted and approved by the entire Bloodline, not just Roman, not just Jimmy, not just Solo, but also Jey Uso, and the Bloodline stood tall to end the night. Great match. I thought it was a great match. I give it 4.25 stars, just for the storytelling, honestly, at the end. I enjoyed the matchup. Now my nitpick here. What the fuck did these baby faces get out of this damn match? Please tell me, somebody. Please sound off in the live chat, Josh, Justin. Please tell me what these goddamn baby faces got out of here, because they had the advantage. None of them got pops when they got out of the shark cage. All the Bloodline did. They got no pops, but they're the baby faces. Tell me how that works. Drew McIntyre felt so hot going into Clash of the Castle. He loses there to Solo, then comes in this, and basically is a non-factor, has no big moments in this matchup. Sheamus felt hot as hell coming out the Gunther match against Clash of the Castle, and in the build-up to this, looked like he was going to be positioned to be the next challenger for Roman Reigns. He basically did nothing but a big 5-way, beats of the Bowery with everybody else in the team. That's it. That's the only memorable moment he had in the damn match. Kevin Owens had all the memorable moments, but it's still the story of him and Sami Zayn and the connection to the Bloodline, and eventually building up to the Usos versus Owens and Zayn. So he didn't really get much out of this either. Like, he almost had Roman beat, so maybe you can go with that type of story there, but the real story is Sami and Sami eventually realizing that Kevin Owens is his real friend over the Bloodline. It's not really Owens and Reigns. No one's going to believe Owens has a chance of winning that anyway. So the babyfaces got nothing out of this matchup. The heels look like the babyfaces. Sami Zayn looks like the biggest face. But like I said, great match. Justin, what was your thoughts?
This was the story about Sami Zayn. Everything in this pay-per-view built towards Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. Will he, won't he? Is he going to turn on the Bloodline? Is he going to join Kevin Owens? Is he going to turn on Kevin Owens and beat up his so-called best friend and whatnot? So everything was leading into this match. I love the fact that when it came time for the Bloodline to add someone, Roman was like, no, you ain't going in. You go. You sit your ass down. And then Sami just had to look like, I'm not going to tell him no, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, which was cool. And then it's just a story of just Sami and Jey. This was literally like a Hallmark movie. This was like Oscar-winning performance by Sami Zayn, because he is, like you said, the biggest face and the biggest winner in this entire match. The Bloodline, they are what they are. We love the Bloodline. We love to acknowledge our tribal chief. But everything, this is all about Sami. Now, as far as the babyface team, Kevin Owens was the one that came out the biggest winner on that, because he looked like a badass, as we know. He had Roman dead to rights, and then Sami interfering on that 3 count. So eventually we can go back to Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, which is going to bang. It's going to go hard. But at the same time, Sami finally got accepted by Jey Uso. We've been waiting months for this, as a Wise philosopher said, long-term booking. We finally here, and man, what a payoff! Great match.
Josh, what was your thoughts on the match?
Um, I gave it like 3.5 stars for me, just because, like you said, a lot of baby faces, they really didn't do anything. Like Sheamus needed the momentum to being Roman's next challenger. I don't remember what he did in the match besides what you just said. I mean, it was a great main event. It's kind of what I expected. But the storytelling was way better than probably some of the other matches of the night. So that's what made it. That's what actually made it passable for me. Like that's what made the match good because of that, because of the story they were telling. I was fine with the ending of the match. I was fine with it just because it prolongs the storyline between Sami and all of them instead of like having the division of them not seeing eye to eye for months and then just to blow it off like that. I don't know. I wasn't really feeling that was going to happen. So I'm actually glad that it kind of came full circle this time where Sami pretty much showed like his worth to the Bloodline, and Jimmy finally getting over that hump of trusting Sami. So overall, I thought the ending was great.
Yeah, like I said, I think the ending puts everything off the top, but I think it's really my biggest issues outside of like the baby faces. I gave it 4.25 stars. Like I said, great match, great performance by Sami Zayn. He's definitely like the guy that gained the most out of this matchup. But the match went 38 minutes, and I literally didn't need to pay attention to 28 minutes. Because the match nothing about the match mattered until Roman Reigns got into the match, until War Games actually happened. And, with the women's match, I think the positives there is that there was a lot of big moments and a lot of big spots because they were trying to do that for the highlight reel for next year's War Games in that match. So at least that kept it entertaining for the portion before War Games actually begun. But nothing about anything that happened outside of Roman telling Jimmy to stay in and Sami go in, and the little conflict between Sami and Jey, nothing around them really mattered. It was about Sami and Jey for the early portion, and then the latter portion, it seceded. It led to a big crescendo, but I want my action. I felt like there was more athleticism, and maybe my mistake of watching the first ever War Games and the 1992 War Games before I watched this show. They had way more athleticism 35 years ago than in this match. Like I'm saying, like nothing in this match really mattered. And it was all about Sami's performance. It's all about Sami Zayn. If one person, I used to remember, like I watched that 1992 one. Austin looked good. Rick Rude looked good. There was multiple people in that match. And that's the team that lost. Talk about the Sting Squadron. You had the moment with Nikita Koloff and Sting. Like, there was all these big moments, and a lot of people got something out of it. Like, I feel like Sami Zayn got a lot out of this, but not much else. He's the biggest babyface on this, and he's on the heel faction.
Yeah, I actually kind of felt that way, the same way for both matches last night. So I just felt like I just feel like I don't know, when it comes to the aspect of War Games, to try to do it now, there's just something that's missing. That's how I felt like about both matches. There's something missing compared to, like you said, like all those years ago, or even the most recent, the ones where they started with NXT. Those were pretty watchable to watch. But to do something like that now, I mean, it's especially when you're trying to, when you're all about protocols and safety, it's a little weird to me.
Yeah. I'm very confused on, of course you got the biggest question for me, which is Frantic World's question here. So why did the baby faces win on SmackDown? LOL. It's like, yeah, because it didn't really matter in the long run. And the way to fix that would have been simple. And I got to shout out Pete Quinnell over at Wrestle Talk because he suggested it. It was Sami Zayn starts the match. That's what you should have really done there, is that Sami Zayn is the baby face, so he has the disadvantage. And if in the end, Sami's going to be the guy who gets over the most, I think he should have started this matchup, honestly.
That's
and
fair,
then you could have done the whole moment and just have Jimmy's about to come out and you say, Jey, you go out. It's still the same thing.
It works either way.
It works either way.
You know, it's funny. That's why I kind of figured that the Bloodline was going to win because of the result from SmackDown. So it was like, it really didn't matter to me. I was like, I already knew Bloodline was going to win because they weren't going to take 2 L's like that. They were going to, that was just not going to happen at all, especially with Roman involved. So, I mean, for me, I already knew that was going to happen. I think if you would have done it backwards, Bloodline wins. You know, that would have given an advantage for the baby faces to win, you know, and that would have built on something. But this kind of just feels like, all right, we're going to blow everything off. Besides the Kevin Owens thing, kind of doesn't really even matter at this point with these two teams going at each other.
We got the answer that I kept getting when I asked why the baby faces won on SmackDown. So Roman could come out last. And then that didn't even matter because the people that said that said, oh, Roman could come out last and he could just come in and destroy everybody. No, they had to do the big stare down with all the 5 guys. So you didn't even get that. So what was the point?
What was the reason? We don't know.
I know the reason is because Roman Reigns is part-time. You know, if you actually see, if you look at the cage, he was the only one sitting down. He had a chair. You know, he was going to try to work. He was going to try to do all that stuff. So, I mean, that's what happens when you're tribal chief, you know?
He said the direct deposit hit, so I'm just going to sit my ass in this chair and chill out. Heyman stare at me. Yes, my tribal chief.
He's like, how much longer we got? I'll sit in here for a little bit. He came in 28 minutes at the 28-minute mark, y'all. He only had to work 10 minutes of this 38-minute match. Yo, Roman.
Work smarter, not harder.
Roman deserves MVP for that alone. Like me reading that stat.
It's smart. I was saying it yesterday. I was like, yo, it's smart. I was like, yo, he's reserving his energy, yo. I was like, he coming in last. He don't gotta work. He don't gotta do what Pete Dunne and Jey had to do.
Yeah, Jey.
You know, he just gotta work 10 minutes. It was like, all right, cool. Easy check. Fuck it.
He learned from Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar is the master of like, you're going to get 5, maybe 10 minutes. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Did the direct deposit hit? Okay, then we'll wrestle. And then I'm hopping on my jet and getting the F out of here.
Yo, Roman Reigns, man, he's teaching game to everybody, yo. You got to love it. You got to love it. He sat down in a chair for 28 minutes, then got up 10 minutes with 10 minutes left and just did a couple of punches, took a couple of moves, and now he's off for the rest of the year, y'all. We ain't seeing him wrestle again until the Royal Rumble.
He's a franchise player. You got to protect the franchise. Let everyone else do all that spots and dilly-dallies and stuff like that. I am your tribal chief. You need me for Rumble. Y'all go ahead and do all this flippity-bitty stuff.
Absolutely. I love it. I love Roman Reigns for that. This is great.
How can you not love him right now?
Yeah. So a good question here from Frantic World. He says, so was AEW Blood and Guts better than WWE War Games this year? Josh?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes, although it cost Santana his knee.
That was kind of on Santana, just because the way he.
I mean, that was a freak accident.
No, it was. What I'm saying, but like in comparison, at least that's what happened compared to like somebody getting hurt because of the match itself.
See, that's where for WWE it's hard because it's like you're a PG publicly traded company that's very geared towards like, families and kids. How can you really go all out like a traditional War Games with that, totaling that line of like, we want to go all out for War Games, but at the same time, we got to keep it to a certain extent because, we got kids watching this.
Yeah, but that's been their overall issue because when you do like these non-sanctioned matches and stuff like that, it's kind of the same thing. Remember like that match with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, that match that freaking just dragged and dragged? That should have been similar. That should have been a violent match, and we kind of really didn't get that. You get a bunch of weapons, right? You see like a lot of stuff used like that, but we really don't get that violent side that you kind of need for these kind of grudge matches.
Yeah, like none of the action we saw in this match is anything that we wouldn't see in a no DQ match, or that we didn't see at Extreme Rules 2 months ago. Like we see it so often that we're desensitized, and I think that the real draw of WWE War Games is that it's a bigger cage and someone's gonna do a move off of it, and you know, and that's why I honestly, I want to say action wise, in ring work wise, I thought the women's War Games was better than the men's War Games, because at least it gave me the stuff I expect from a WWE War Games. I can watch the entire match. I can watch it over. With the men's War Games, I'm not gonna honestly watch the first 28 minutes. I'm sorry, y'all. There wasn't much to it. It wasn't much to it.
I mean, you a better man than me, because I'm not watching either match again.
It depends on who the guys are in there. Like I think back to like Undisputed Era versus Team Ciampa, and then Kevin Owens coming out there. That was a really good one. That like kept my attention from start to finish.
Yeah, that was definitely up there. But I'll be honest, if we're just comparing this year, like Frantic World's axing here, I would say AEW's Blood and Guts this year, you have to go back to like 87, the first War Games, 1992, Sting Squadron versus the Dangerous Alliance, 91 with the Horsemen versus Sting's crew and stuff. Other than that, I don't think there's any other War Games that stand up to this year's Blood and Guts. This year's Blood and Guts is one of the best War Games they ever did. Like, it had big moments. You have memorable moments that still stand out, like Eddie Kingston coming in the cage, hitting everybody with a stick, Santana's injury, Moxley pulling out all his deathmatch weapons,
Sammy Guevara getting sent to Jesus.
Cool Hand being hung outside the cage bloody, and then the finish with Claudio stealing the win from Eddie. That's all of those moments were in this year's men's War Games. Sami Zayn at the end with Kevin Owens. That's it. That's all I have to tell you. Just watch that. No, I don't have all those moments across that was even a longer matchup too. So I guess they deserve credit for that. And that was on TV. That had a lot going against it. Longer matches.
Yeah, that's what tells you, and that's kind of tells you a lot. Kind of tells you.
and it had the added obstacle of they did Anarchy in the Arena a month earlier, and it was like a lot of people were questioning. It was like, how is this going to be any different or any better than Anarchy in the Arena? And it was just as good as Anarchy in the Arena. So like, yeah, I think it's apples to oranges, because the WWE War Games, they put a lot of restrictions on the performers. I think if they didn't have as many restrictions as they do at WWE, and they can have more of that old school feel War Games that this year's Blood and Guts has, I think that we would be saying that WWE's War Games is better.
Yeah, that's true. Because
put a top on the cage.
Not only that, but then and that's kind of, I don't want to say frustrating part, but they're capable of doing that. It's just that on the business aspect, I understand what they're doing, but I was like, if you're doing a match like this, it's kind of similar to how I feel about Elimination Chamber, where Elimination Chamber now doesn't feel like it's a dangerous match. It doesn't feel like you're in danger anymore, and that's what kind of kills it for me.
It just feels like they're having a match inside this cool structure. It's just the sight of seeing the structure.
Yeah, that's it.
This is another good question of Ash and Ash. The first Blood and Guts versus the first War Games, which is better? The first War Games, by far. You don't have the whole stuff with Chris Jericho falling through paper bags. Like, in the first War Games, by far. If we're talking about 87, if you're talking about the first WWE War Games, then I'll have to maybe watch those over, because I remember it was good, but it wasn't great, and it had that feeling of this isn't the same.
Yeah, so like what I remember from the first War Games match, I think it was I know Killian Dane kind of like took over the show. I know he kind of stole the show.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of weapons being used. I know this dude got cut open, but he got cut open by mistake. Damn, what was his name? Somebody got cut open. I remember he got busted open, but that was because of an accident, not because he played himself and there's blood, part of the thing. But same thing. I had to watch the match to really say. I remember the ending too. I remember the ending, how that match ended, which I mean, it was a basic finish to me. I don't know. I'll have to watch it if that's what. They're asking about the NXT one, but yeah, the first one. You're talking about the very first one. Yeah, that. I mean, you can't really top that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's difficult. I would have to watch those back to really answer that question there. Dolores with a good comment here saying, I'm beginning to think WWE is changing from being very PG because Becky and others can freely curse now. I think one show should be more mature so SmackDown can PG, but Raw be more mature. I think so. Yeah, they should do that because Raw is on cable and SmackDown's on, national television, so they can't do the stuff that they can do on Raw. But Raw used to be like that, more mature. So I think it should go back to that.
Agreed.
And Becky's on there, so it helps for that. Ash for Nash with another good point here. Yeah, it's facts here. Women's War Games is for the spots. Men's War Games is for the Bloodline storyline. If you like storytelling, you're gonna like the Men's War Games more. If you like the spots, you're gonna like the Women's War Games more. And I agree with this from Daryl Brown saying Black and Gold versus 2.0 is a top 5 War Games match. It's up there, definitely. I think that out of the WWE War Games, that one and 2019 with Owens, Ciampa, Dijakovic, and Lee versus Undisputed Era is the best 2 WWE War Games.
Yeah, I can't really say just because I don't remember the Black and Gold one. I don't remember it.
Well, Black and Gold versus 2.0 was last year. It was Gargano, Ciampa.
Like I remember who was in the match, but I don't remember the match at all. Like, so I can't really. I can't really say.
Only because of Johnny Gargano's performance. That was my thing.
That was like his what do you call it? His swan song. So he took a couple of months off and then comes back to WWE and now he's in the storyline with Miz. That's kind of boring now, but
yeah,
that's what I remember from that.
We got Nikki Boy said, yeah, no one is even allowed to bleed. They were at a disadvantage from the start, 100%. And also a disadvantage is Frantic World's point. I like that WCW and AEW have the rooftop. That adds a different feel to it. And you get the spot of throwing someone off the cage, which I'm always here for.
It makes a huge difference because it feels like an actual War Games. Without the top, it feels like a steel cage match with different rules.
Which
and
I kind
of takes
of
me out of it.
Yeah, no, but I'm a little surprised because remember when Triple H wanted to bring the concept back? I know Vince was kind of adamant about that. He was like he didn't want the top. Triple H wanted the top, so I thought he would have added it since he's in creative. But I'm guessing he probably just like, nah, it's okay, just because the AEW is already doing the close part, so maybe that's why he's just not going back to it. And they already done a few matches of it without it, so that's my guess. But I know Triple H was a big part of wanting the top. He wanted it back, so it's a little weird that he didn't go back.
Yeah. And we would be remiss after our whole conversation debating about War Games to not focus a little bit more on Sami Zayn and Jey Uso and the Bloodline storyline. Justin, you're very excited about the ending, but where do you think this story goes next? Like, what are we in store for on the road to Royal Rumble now that WWE has 2 months before their next major event?
That's a very good question because everything was leading towards Sami's got to make a choice between Kevin Owens and the Bloodline. And at some point, this was going to look like Sami Zayn cost the Bloodline in some way, shape, or form. And then they just obliterate him. And then you turn Sami face. And then that could lead into Rumble and stuff like that. So with the Bloodline, especially Jey Uso fully embracing him, that's going to be your story is, does Jey really embrace him? Or is that like a one-time moment? And see how that plays out and affects Royal Rumble. Because Roman's going to have to either defend that title or get in the Rumble, and so is the rest of the Bloodline. How is that going to play out during a Rumble match?
That is true. That is true. What about you, Josh? Where do you think the Bloodline story heads to next?
My guess is that they're gonna drag it, and eventually, I don't know, some shape or form. I really do feel like it's probably gonna be KO versus Sami versus the Usos at WrestleMania for the titles.
And I hope they don't go away from that. I know a lot of this story, they have been kind of shifting and reshaping as it goes along, as it gets more over. And it is very over. It's the best thing going on, and not just WWE. I would say it's the best storyline in wrestling because it's so captivating, has so many layers for each of the characters. Each of character in the stable is gaining more from that, and they feel like an overpowering stable. And although I rooted against them, I went for, Brawling Brutes on the predictions and everything. I think that the Bloodline winning here was the right move because this is the first men's War Games. You want the stable that you're trying to build up to stand tall at the end of it. So I get that. They did the same thing with Undisputed Era winning the first War Games in 2017. It makes sense that they did it here with the Bloodline. And it has a lot of different layers coming out of it. I think that we shouldn't see any friction or dissension for a couple of weeks. I think there needs to be a moment that brings that out in Jey Uso, or we may go the route where they just change it up completely and we have Roman turn on Jey. There's so many different ways that they can go with this, and that's what makes the story so captivating to watch. We got in the live chat here. Keep those comments coming in the live chat. We might as well mention it because I see the comment here. Ash Finash asking Josh, did any of y'all see the press conference? Paul Heyman referenced the Bloodline breaking character and it made it part of the storyline. What did you think about the press conference last night?
Like who gives a shit about that part? Like, all things that suck. Because you know what it is, man. Like what I was saying yesterday, right? I knew when I heard that when they were doing the press conference, I knew it was gonna be all bullshit because it's too controlled. It's you can't control an environment where when you're dealing with a bunch of reporters and somebody might ask like the big question. Yesterday there was no big questions. Yesterday, like if you hear all the questions that were being asked, it was all crap. Like even the one that everyone made a big deal out of, it was the woman who asked the question. Her question sucked too. I know people were trying to give her props like, oh, it was a great question. No, it wasn't. The question sucked. It was boring. Like where's the hard-hitting question, guys? Like where was, is there any update on Sasha Banks? Or have you guys reached out to CM Punk? Right? Those are questions I would like to hear, right? Even if you're gonna get a bullshit answer. But that's the kind of environment that you're in when you're asking those questions. So when you control this bullshit and you hear all the stupid fucking questions, it's like, what's the point of all of this? It was a waste of time. And it's just, right? When you don't have Fightful or Wrestling Observer, what does that tell you about that? What does that tell you about that kind of shit?
Yeah, that's what I saw from a lot of people. There was like the bigger names weren't there, and it was more the people that are like WWE or analysts or journalists that are WWE are more pro WWE.
Exactly.
I would have said Justin Barazzo is kind of more widespread, but he's been on WWE programming before. So.
Yeah. Somebody did say that yesterday. I remember, I forgot. I think it was Big Mike who said it. And that's what Mike was like for him. It kind of killed it. Because he's like, wait a minute. He does like this shit for WWE. He's like, so it was kind of like the writings were already on the wall. And especially like even the performers who were talking, it just didn't feel, it didn't feel organic for me. Like at least when New Japan does it, it feels real. Like those guys are talking and it feels real. They're not talking about like story, like they're talking about real shit. Same thing with AEW, where AEW, they kind of mix it, kayfabe a little bit, but more reality. Like they're talking about like real questions, real stuff. Like if there's a new signing, what made you come to AEW? Like they talk about the process of that or something like that. Or like, Tony Khan, talk and answering questions, certain questions, maybe not all them people might want to know, but he's doing stuff like that at least. So like yesterday it was just, I don't know. And they're gonna do something like that, and this is something they're gonna continue. They're gonna have to find a way to really, they have to let their guard down a little bit.
Find the right balance for it. Justin, I'll ask you this question: is AEW Media Scrum better than WWE press conference?
Yeah, because I mean, Josh puts a great perspective where with WWE, there's only so much you're gonna get from it. Like I personally like these press conferences because it's different. It's something that WWE's never really done. So and it, you may not get like the big hitters like Fightful or like Wrestling Observer, but you do get other outlets that don't get that shot from time to time to get to ask these questions and to have that one-on-one interactions and stuff like that. So I do like it, and it does serve purpose if there's something we can gain out of it. Like I still got to go back and watch because at that point the drinks were flowing last night on my end, so there's a lot of that press conference that I missed. But that's the media scrum. I also feel the same way, where it's like, what are we really getting?
Don't waste your time on it. Don't waste your time on the one from last night. Don't waste your time. That's all I gotta say.
The media scrum from All Out when all hell broke loose. That's why it was such a shock because it's like we really don't gain anything of notoriety out of these press conferences. But then that media scrum was just like all hell broke loose, and it's like everyone was just firing off. That's why it was such like a what the hell is happening because they don't just never happen. CM Punk's firing shots, Tony Storm's firing shots, Swerve and Our Glory's firing shots. Tony's trying to keep it together, and he's like losing his shit because he's like, so people are just firing off and fighting in the back. And everyone, and while this is all going on in this live, like, so as long as we're gaining something from this, I'm with it. Especially, like I said, like you got a lot of shine for people that don't, not these big outlets. Those wrestling girls got shine last night. Tan Cal got shine. Demon Diva got shine, and those are my people. So I'm rep it, but at the same time, it's like if we gain something from it, I'm with it.
Yeah. I'm all for it if we can actually gain something for it. And I want WWE. I'm a simple man. I do content. I want clips. At least AEW gives me clips. Gives me a bunch of clips to play on shows. You had MJF's promo from Full Gear. You had everything that went down at All Out. Tony Khan going crazy at that moment. I'm not gonna take this anymore, which is one of my favorite clips ever. You've had CM Punk and Tony Khan going crazy at Double or Nothing. It goes on and on. Like there's been plenty of stuff. So just give me clips and I'll be fine. But I did like with WWE, people that I know and don't always get the shine got some love. Steve Fall, who we've had here on the channel, got to ask a question to Becky Lynch, which was great to see. Those wrestling girls, which I've seen them all throughout the independent scene, going to shows on the East Coast for years. So I was happy to see them. I saw them in the chat as well. Happy that they got some shine. Isa from Wrestling Inc. getting that final question because Triple H was like, "You ain't gonna skip over the female and get all these guys." That was a great Triple H moment.
That was great.
That was a great Triple H moment. I agree that some of the questions
in front and center. You better let her ask a question.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate, Josh complained that there could have been harder hitting questions. Like I agree, like maybe somebody asking about Sasha Banks, especially because you're in Boston, might have been something to ask there. And I was the similar way for a lot of the questions at Full Gear until Nick Ausman asked Tony Khan, why you didn't say anything when CM Punk went wild? I was like, okay, there's the question I wanted to be asked, and they asked it there. So I will say they need to get these press conferences where at least we get one question that a lot of people been asking.
Yeah, but then also, like you, when it comes to that, but Mike thing too, right? Because when we were watching it yesterday, I was like, I wonder if they told everybody before going in, hey, you can't ask this, you can't ask that, and and that's how those questions came off to me because those questions they were like super basic questions. Like I remember the one the guy asked about like the story about like something about like about a storyline, and then he brought up like Roman Reigns, Carmelo Hayes, and Cody Rhodes. Like that guy was all over the place with his question, and it was like, why was that even why was that even a question? And it was like, what? Like this is what we doing here? Like it's not wasting my time, man. Like yo, the chat. I'll tell you this much though: the live chat was way better than the press conference.
I'm sure.
Oh my God.
I had it on the TV. I didn't have the chat up.
Man, you think Twitter's toxic? Oh my God, that chat, forget about it.
Dolores with a comment here says, but we have to admit AEW treat media better than WWE. Why waste your time to go get no real content and you have to spend your money to get nothing? I wouldn't say that because I would say that for media, me personally speaking from my own personal experience, when I did media for WWE, I got a lot more because I was, they do media kind of like whole interviews with a bunch of stars in a room, whereas the press conference, the media scrum itself is just the media scrum. Like I know a lot of people in wrestling media that would like AEW to do something like what WWE does when there's an event, a big event, do that little media thing where we get to interview a bunch of the guys one-on-one, not just the media scrum.
Yeah, like like you said, like that's usually the positive too. Like usually beforehand, like certain people get certain individual interviews, which that's fine. I think you get more content like that. That's the benefit of that. It's just that because WWE, they're not used to doing stuff like this, but every time they do it, it's always too controlled for me, and that's why I'm like, I rather them just not do this. Like if this is what you're gonna do, just don't do it. So it like I said, if it like and if this is something that they're gonna continue, like you said, just have that one or two people who's gonna ask like the question that everyone wants to know. Like I don't think there's nothing bad. And if Triple H wants to dance around the question, at least you have that to talk about. Like, oh, he really didn't answer the question. He did this,
Yeah. We get that all the time with Tony Khan. He dodges questions left and right. He's a professional dodgeball player. But let's get back into the actual.
I was surprised. I was surprised already. I mean, I'm not gonna go that far. I don't think they copied them. Because WWE
they're trying to be more like UFC, honestly.
Yeah, like they've tried. Yeah, I would say they try to copy more UFC because UFC is similar to the bullshit that they try to do with the press conference. But I mean, I knew some people were going to bring that up yesterday, and I was like, I don't think it's a copy because, like I said, they've done it. They've tried to do this before, and they've backed out from it. And now they're trying to do it
again. In 2014, when after WrestleMania 30, they did a press conference. So
and they tried to do it a few times even after that, even like the little pay-per-views. But it wasn't. It was nothing special that they didn't need to continue it. So they got away from it. So it's not. I don't want to use the whole they're copying AEW or this.
No, I wouldn't.
Technically, if we want to go that far, we could easily say that AEW is copying New Japan if we really want to go that far.
Yeah. If we're being real, AEW is copying New Japan.
Yeah, that's what I was
gonna say. That's what I was gonna say, because New Japan does like the press conferences before like Wrestle Kingdom. They do the stuff after like the main events where you see them cutting their promos and stuff like that. Like New Japan's been doing this for a while, way before AEW. If we're gonna keep it a buck.
Yeah. So after every show, everybody gets an interview, and it gives them a lot of content for their YouTube channel. You could check out a bunch of those. One of my favorites being Jeff Cobb cutting a promo after he just got misted by the Great Muta, and his back is to the camera. Great stuff because he's blind. Check it out.
Mine's is Moxley and Shooter when I think Yano beat Moxley, and Moxley's just like, really? I lost to him.
I got a bunch of great ones.
You see that? It's like, yeah. And obviously the Jay White, fuck.
Jay White, the greatest one of all time is Jay White after Wrestle Kingdom 15, after he lost to Kota Ibushi.
That's easily the best one.
That's the GOAT. That's the GOAT of them all. But let's talk about the other War Games matchup. The Women's War Games match opened the show at WWE Survivor Series War Games. We got our most people watching at this point, so just a quick reminder, drop the thumbs up on the video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, and sound off in the live chat. Give us your thoughts on the Women's War Games and the Survivor Series War Games entire show, as well as super chat donations. Make sure you get highlighted if you're feeling a little generous this holiday season. But let's talk about that Women's War Games. Team Belair, the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Mia Yim versus Rhea Ripley, Bayley, Nikki Cross, and the the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Belair and Kai started the matchup. I love the fact that Dakota Kai, she's been in War Games 4 times, and I believe almost all of those times she started off the match, like except for the time that she just turned on her best friend and left the match, basically. Next out was Io Sky, so you had the 2-on-1 against the Raw Women's Champion. Next in was Asuka, so you had the great moment with Asuka and Io going at it. Asuka looked great, beating up both Dakota and Io in the early portion here. Nikki Cross came in. She brought in some weapons. The first one to bring in the weapons with kendo sticks, trash can lids. She also slammed a door on Asuka's head. The heels were in control until Alexa Bliss came in. She hit everyone, ran wild. Everyone was hitting each other with kendo sticks. When Nikki Cross climbed to the top of the cage, sat up there laughing as everybody's getting hit with kendo sticks, including her tag team partners here. And then finally, Nikki Cross hit a diving cross body. Get it? Next out after that was Bayley. She came in pulling out a table from Jump. I will say, I just want to put a little nitpick here. Don't get me wrong. I told you I enjoyed this matchup, but having the heels bring out all the weapons got all the heels the pops instead of the baby faces. I just wanted to let WWE know that maybe they shouldn't do that again. Next in was Mia Yim. Action broke down. Everybody was going crazy, going wild when Io Sky hit a big dive off the steel cage, as it's become tradition with War Games hitting. But this one was crazy because it just felt more dangerous because she got no air on this shit at all. She just went straight down onto Bianca and Mia Yim. Rhea Ripley came in. She ran wild, beating up a lot of the other women. And then finally, to complete the women's War Games, Becky Lynch, making her return, entered last about 27 minutes, actually almost near 28 minutes into this matchup. Lynch started going wild, hitting kicks on Cross, Sky, and Dakota Kai. Then she stared down with Bayley, the woman responsible for her time or extra time away. That was meant to get a big reaction, but it didn't really. The bigger reaction was actually for Becky and Rhea Ripley staring down, as they have positioned Rhea Ripley as kind of the bigger opposition to Becky. Bayley got in the way, and then Ripley gave Lynch a riptide for a 2 count. Asta then came through and sprayed the mist into Ripley's face. Then Lynch spiked her with a DDT, but Bayley got in the way before they could make a cover. Bayley hit the rose plant on Becky, almost got the pin there, but that pin was broken up. Then we got some good moments with Nikki Cross in the other cage with Alexa Bliss. She was saying, I didn't forget what you did, and tried to handcuff her. And then they did a whole big, it looked like Bliss was slipped her hand out of the cuff, it seemed like. And then Asuka gave Ripley a code breaker before Ripley drove her into the cage. And then Bliss hit a electric chair on Cross on a trash can lid. Then we got Bianca throwing Dakota Kai into the cage with a gorilla press. Action broke down. We got the great callback to SummerSlam with Becky and Bianca staring down with damage control. Rhea Ripley and Michin going at it in the other ring with a big dive through the ladder bridge. Bianca and Becky started running wild on damage control, hitting KODs and the manhandle slam. And then finally, they stacked Io Sky and Dakota Kai on a table. Becky went to the top of the cage and hit a big leg drop, landing on both women as Bianca Belair hit a KOD on Bayley into the cage to give Team Belair the victory. Becky Lynch getting the final pinfall on Dakota Kai and Io Sky, basically pinning the women's tag team champions. Becky Lynch looking strong, Team Belair looking strong, and standing tall to win War Games here. I give this opener 4 stars. I thought it was a fun way to kick off the show. It escalated in a big way. It had a bunch of little moments that added up and brought to a big crescendo at the end. I thought the match was really good once everybody got in here, and it had a bunch of the moments that you would expect in the early portion to make it worth watching, unlike the men's War Games. But like I said, I thought the storytelling was stronger with the men's. That's why I rated it higher, but the women's War Games definitely delivered in the spots. Josh, what did you think?
I don't know. For me, I gave it a 3 1/4. It felt kind of boring to me. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know. It really didn't do nothing for me. The only thing that's telling, I mean, again, Damage Control, the fuck they're doing with though. They got double pinned. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, it's like your tag team champions, your women's tag team champions got double pinned in the match. Like, by one person, not even by two people, by one person. That whole segment, if you think about it, right? That whole last sequence, right? Bailey gets taken out, and they get both of them get put through a table, and I'm like, what's gonna like? What's the point of the stable now? Like, I mean, I haven't cared about them for weeks. This could have been a match that maybe kind of could have, rejuvenated them, and kind of just did the opposite. Kind of just like, all right, kind of see where this is going now.
What did you think, Justin?
I actually enjoyed this match. It was, like you said, it was fun. Everyone got their stuff in. Death taxes. Io does moonsaults off war games and cages and stuff like that. Bianca looked amazing. Like, I was watching this with my peoples, and his wife was just like, "Who is that?" And I was explaining Bianca, and like her eyes were just glued. And also to Becky, which happens to be like the two people that came out of this match the best.
Yeah.
Josh brings up a great point, which is, what do you do with Damage Control? Because now this is like L after L after L. Bailey can't get over the hump with Bianca. Io and Dakota taking pins left and right. They're your tag team champions. What are we doing with them with the tag team titles and stuff like that? So moving forward, especially going into the Rumble season, like, what are we really doing with that? Like, I would love them to be like more sadistic, more like, we're just going to start beating everyone's ass because we're tired of losing, and we're just going to start taking it out on people left and right.
I honestly think it's about to be Damage Control Alt Delete. It's time to cut bait. Like, I honestly, I'm not as outraged as I was after Extreme Rules and after Crown Jewel, even though I once again foolishly thought Damage Control was gonna win because I thought I was like, Rhea Ripley's there. You got someone else to put over instead of Damage Control, so they at least get something out of this damn dude. Because for weeks, when I was getting outraged over the result of the ladder match, after I get outraged over the result of Crown Jewel, you know what all these fans told me? Oh, don't worry, Damage Control's gonna win War Games. My first question was, well, what does War Games gain you? Doesn't really win you anything. Doesn't make up for losing so many times for the Raw Women's Championship, and then the nonsense booking for the women's tag team titles, and then just not caring about this stable and establishing them with wins. At this point, they should change their name from Damage Controller CTRL to Damage L, because that's all they take, and that sounds more accurate for what they are. They are just one big fat L. Bailey's a loser. Dakota Kai and Io Sky, your women's tag team champions, got stacked and pinned. They're losers. Jesus Christ. There's nothing looking forward to this for them. Like, we get to look forward to Bailey and Becky finally feuding, but Becky's going to win that. Becky's going to win that feud. Don't matter. I have no faith. I will not pick Bailey against Becky Lynch. I don't care what WWE does.
The power of Bianca and Becky compels you, man. You can't pick against them.
This is ridiculous. Chris says, I like the women's War Games, except for the ending of Damage Control losing. Again.
Damage L is great.
Damage L. That's all it is.
They take L's which damage their careers.
That's all it is. Yes. Damage. That's all they L after L after L, and all it causes is fucking damage. Oh. And he says, this is what I've been waiting for. SB3's rant on how Damage Control has been treated. Gonna preach to us on this Sunday afternoon. Yes, I am here to preach on the mountaintop of Damage Control, but like I said, I'm not as angry as I was at the last two pay-per-views, because I just felt, you fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. You won't fool me again. But he did it. He fooled me again, because I was convinced by all of you Who tried to tell me, oh no, it's okay. It's okay. You know, Bianca gets to be the longest reigning African-American woman ever. Gets to look like black female John Cena. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. You know, Bailey be fine. Bailey be fine. Oh, Bailey's in this stage of her career where she cares more about the tag team titles and cares more about others. She wants to put others and give back. What the fuck do I care about that though? I want to see people that actually care about that aren't fucking losers. You're building Mustafa Ali as a fucking loser. You're building Damage Control as Damage fucking L. Oh, capital L. Damage LLL. That's it. That's the 4 letters. Oh.
The trio of L's.
Trio of L's. Shit. Curvin says another loss for Damage Control. Thanks, Triple H, for not caring about Damage Control. Curvin also says I compare Damage Control to 3MB. Oh my god. Damn. I don't blame you either. You're not wrong, sir. You're not wrong.
I mean, if we're gonna do an accurate comparison, I compare him to the Miz and when he had the Miztourage. You have Bailey and then you have the Miztourage. That's what it feels like right now.
I compare it to Nexus. I've been comparing it to Nexus because you had the big debut that everybody was excited for what this group could offer, and then they lost to this John Cena-like figure, and it just kept hurting them over and over and over and over and over again. At least Wade Barry got to beat John Cena once. Like, I haven't even seen Bailey beat Bianca in any form except for a 6-man tag that at this memory feels like it was years ago. Years ago now. And it was in September. Oh, God. Dylan says what happened with Judgment Day and the OC. We're about to get into that actually. And Curvin with a great comment says Damage Control needs to join Mustafa Ali. Yeah, Ali needs to join Damage Control. Just put all the losers in one group.
Oh shit.
I mean, Chris says Bailey is not a loser. I mean, I don't think she's a loser. I'm just going by what they are presenting to me, Chris. I'm sorry. I like Bailey. That's why I'm upset.
She's lost to Bianca twice for the title. So it was like
and then in War Games.
And then not in War Games. Three matches.
That's 3 L's.
I mean, that's pretty, that sounds like a loser to me.
3 straight premium live events. And God bless you, Chris. You're a loyal Bailey fan if you think she's gonna win the Royal Rumble next year. God bless you.
I mean, there's no clear-cut person who's gonna win the women's this year. So Chris may not be far off.
I think it's very clear after last night. It's either Becky or Rhea.
I think Logan Paul has a better chance winning the men's Royal Rumble match than Bailey does have the women.
I think it's very clear how they positioned everybody that it's either going to be Rhea Ripley if they want a heel to verse Bianca, or it's going to be Becky Lynch and she's going to probably verse Ronda Rousey.
So Becky's going to be the first to ever win it twice for the women?
She said it at the press conference too. She's like, her goal is to be the first woman to win 2 Royal Rumbles.
Right now, I would say that's your favorites going into the Rumble.
Yeah, the only dark horse
is Rumble. All bets are off because you never know if maybe we get a Naomi. Maybe Naomi comes back. Maybe Sasha
ain't winning no Royal Rumble. She ain't winning no Royal Rumble. That's what I said. That's why I was gonna say the dark horses are 2 people returning, and it's not Naomi. Naomi, I don't matter what if she comes back or not. She's not gonna win the Royal Rumble. The 2 dark horses is Charlotte and Sasha. That would be the 2 dark horses. But as far as people that are here currently, the 2 favorites,
with Sasha, I think the writing is on the wall that she's probably not coming back. Like that's so that tells you something that she's more of a hurt than Naomi. That kind of tells you all you need to know about Naomi.
I don't think she's coming back soon. I don't think Sasha's coming back soon, but I would say if she did come back, she would be a favorite to win the Royal Rumble. But
I've always said if she's coming back, Rumble, because you're gonna do it at a big 4 pay-per-view when the most eyes are on the product. Everyone watches Royal Rumble, even casuals. You're selling out this big ass stadium in San Antonio. Why would you have her come back before that? Especially where she's made it clear, like, I'm not wrestling the rest of 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. But let's move on to our next match on the card here. It was AJ Styles going one-on-one with Finn Balor. Finn Balor comes out with another creepy BDSM mask, unmasking before he got to the ring. He
Cobra,
had
right, Joe.
he came out with Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest, while AJ Styles came out with Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson with a cool mask, another tribute to their past in New Japan Pro Wrestling. AJ used to wear a lot of these different masks back then. And what we got here, I loved Michael Cole on commentary. Michael Cole was the MVP of this match for me because he spoke about Styles' time in Japan as well as the history between the two men. He also talked about Finn Balor being a 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion and versus Kushida. And Corey Graves even remarked, "You love when Twitter is nice to you." And I just told Corey, stop being salty because you suck. But then we got into the matchup. They went about 7 minutes with it seemed like Finn tweaked his knee, but he was dominating much of the early portion of this matchup. A distraction by Priest allowed Dominic to trip Styles on the apron, so Gallows and Anderson went after Dominic. Priest jumped in, and they brawled through the crowd. Styles made sure to get a shot in on Dominic before they scrambled out of there. Both men then had a one-on-one contest finally between these two men instead of their two factions, and we got two of the best workers going out there and having a good wrestling match here. It was AJ going after the knee while Balor worked over his ribs, setting up for the coup de grace. But in the end, after exchange of moves by the turnbuckle, Styles finally got the win by hitting the phenomenal forearm to get the 1-2-3. AJ Styles defeating Finn Balor and standing tall over him, the two Bullet Club members here. I thought this was a good match. I gave it 3.5 stars. Definitely not at the same level as they had 5 years ago at TLC, and I'm not sure why. It just doesn't seem like, to me, I'm gonna be honest here. Not a nitpick on the show. It's not a nitpick on the match. It's just an observation, and this is something that was pointed out to me by Stephanie Hype. So shout out to her. She said she doesn't care about anything AJ Styles, and I had to really look on AJ Styles because he's one of my all-time favorites, but he really hasn't had a great match in like 3-4 years outside of the Boneyard match. And outside a match with Bryan Danielson in an empty arena, but that's Bryan Danielson. So, like, other than a couple of great matches here and there, the ladder match with Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn in 2020 was great as well. But here and there, it's not the consistent greatness that we're used to with AJ Styles. And then when you have a match here, they got enough time to deliver a great match, and it was just good. What did you think, Justin?
I mean, it was like you said, it was a good match. To AJ, you gotta remember, AJ is also up there in age too. At some point, that does catch up with you, where you have all these injuries, you take all these bumps. It's not gonna hit the same way as far as like your speed, your athleticism, and stuff like that. He has had some great matches, but it's been more here and there than like if you go back in 2016, where he came in and was just like had a stretch between Extreme Rules all the way to the end of the year to the Rumble with Cena, where it was just great match after great match after great match. He hasn't had that stretch.
And then remember, he had like a low point during like the Kevin Owens US title feud, and then it picked back up again to the point he was having so many great matches, and he came through for them at TLC. They had to put the title back on him. They put the WWE title back on him to end the Jinder Mahal reign of terror. So he even was putting on great matches 2017 into 2018. His title run was so in that regard. But yeah, like I said, like you said, though, it was like 2016, 2017 where we got consistent greatness from AJ Styles.
Yeah, it's just like wear and tear. You know, you can't outrun Father Time. And it's like that could be a reason why we're just not seeing that high quality from AJ, where it's like, you know, Finn is giving us stuff though, so again, this was really good.
What did you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think it was like 3.5. I don't think it was better than the match that they had 5 years ago. But I mean, when it comes to styles, I think there's a bunch of factors. One, you know, he's 45 years old. Two, he's getting so much money that he necessarily doesn't need to try anymore. And I think that's more the factor of, if he's going out there and he's putting on a passable match, I think he's fine with that. I think he's content with that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that personally, because, he does have a family, he has 4 kids. So he doesn't want to put his body on the line that much anymore, being that age. So I think there's a number of factors, which personally, I don't think it's wrong, but at the same time, I think if anybody's expecting 2000, like you said, 2016 AJ, or anybody's expecting New Japan AJ, those days are gone. So I think people just need to be more accepting of what they're probably going to get from here on out from AJ until he retires with his last contract.
Yeah. Notwithstanding, like I said, it was a well-worked matchup, but I just wanted a little bit more, especially considering I didn't even think this match should have happened at this pay-per-view. I thought they should have done OC versus Judgment Day. We got Chris here who says AJ Styles' first pay-per-view win since 2019, his first pay-per-view win since Crown Jewel 2019, first singles win on pay-per-view. He's won tag team matches with Omos, but his first singles win on a premium live event since Crown Jewels 2019.
And that was in a different country. When
he versed Humberto Carrillo. Tells you how far back. When they were treating Humberto as a single star. Exactly. We got Curvin who just says, it's simple. Father Time, call AJ Styles.
Yep. Like AJ, line 1. Who's it? Father Time. Chill.
We got Bala B. It says AJ cares, but honestly, he just wants to wind down. Ain't that AJ does the spiral tap.
Well, yeah. Which I'm not saying. Which I'm not saying he doesn't care. It's just that he's in a situation where he doesn't necessarily need to be what he used to be.
Yeah.
And I think in a way, I think he knows that. I think he holds back from that. That's part of the careness too, that he knows he has to take care of himself. So I don't think, like I said, it's not really a bad thing. I'm not saying he doesn't care, but either way, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing overall.
The WWE fans are coming after you. They're right outside your building, Josh.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'll fight them. I'll give them this work.
How dare you talk about AJ Styles like this?
They called the police on you, man.
I'll be like, remember like Stone Cold? Remember that? Remember, I forgot what was it? That big brawl that happened. Stone Cold just started beating up everybody in the ring.
Yeah.
That's gonna be me with all them WWE fans outside.
We got Valabu who also says maybe he has a few great matches left in him where he gets to be that guy. It could happen. We shall see. Next, they had Ozzy Osbourne told the WWE Universe to buy his album. Ozzy was also featured in the montage to open the show. I did like Ozzy being there, and Triple H was asked about it. He just asked him to be a part of it, and there was plans beforehand for Ozzy Osbourne to perform at Survivor Series, but Triple H said it didn't work out, and he didn't feel like it was the right time. So, interesting.
He's still making music? Damn.
I ain't knowing that, but I'm pretty sure Triple H wasn't willing to pay 6 figures just for him to lip sing on that stage, because I know damn well he wasn't not gonna sing.
Exactly. We had the next match, the SmackDown Women's Championship was up for grabs, as it was Ronda Rousey defending against Shotzi. During Shotzi's entrance, Cole said that Raquel Rodriguez wouldn't be at ringside thanks to her broken elbow from SmackDown, which will keep her out of action for 4 to 6 weeks. Shotzi pointed to the sky during her entrance, and Cole noted that she was dedicating the match to her father, who recently passed away. What we got here was Ronda Rousey pretty much dominating the early portion of this. Shotzi eventually made a comeback, hitting a couple of big moves. He had Insecurity at one point. Then eventually they fought to the outside. Shayna Baszler got involved at various points at this, at nauseum, it seemed like at certain points. And eventually Shotzi took her out, as well as Ronda, in a row of planted fans in the front row with a dive off the guardrail to lay everybody out. Back in the ring, Shotzi tried to capitalize, but Ronda hit a judo throw off the top rope to take her down. Then she hit Piper's Pit and then applied the arm bar to get the tap out victory to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was bah. It was there. I gave it 1 3/4 stars. That's the nicest I'm gonna be to this match. This was definitely the dud of the night. What did you think, Justin?
You know that Bart Simpson gif? At least you tried with the cake, and then he puts the cake in the trash. At least they tried. They gave us effort. God bless them. They worked. But the crowd was chanting, "We want Sasha." That basically tells you everything you need to know about this match.
Yeah, they was like, if you're not gonna give us a good match, you might as well give us what we want, and we want Sasha Banks. Josh, what did you think about this match?
Meh. Like, I don't know really what to say much about this match. The only thing is that I mean, we saw like the typical botches from Shotzi. What was that shit she was trying to do with the ropes? That move, I was like, what the fuck was that?
I don't know,
Bro, like what
I
the
don't know either.
fuck was that? Like I was like so confused. I was like, was that supposed to hurt her more or Ronda? Like what was the fuck was that? And then that fucking plant spot with the crowd, that was just like, it was so corny because it was like so blatantly obvious. But then also like when it happened, right? There was like no security. Like where's the security to help these fake fans? Like you know what I mean? Like it did.
I was like, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yo, right? What happened?
I was like, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. What are we
doing? Like,
doing?
didn't even bother like to make it try to like look presentable. Like, but I do agree with like the Shayna thing. I thought she was getting involved a little too much. I was like, this is kind of beneath Ronda. Why are we especially for Shotzi? I mean, no offense to Shotzi. You know, I love Shotzi, but I mean, what we've gotten from her from the main roster so far, you don't need to make her look this good. You know what I mean? So that was like the little confusing part. But yeah, matches, we kind of knew this was going to be the dud of the night. Fortunately, ended up being that. Yeah, that's all I really got to say.
Yeah, like they tried. It's just a matter of like Shotzi's not really over with the crowd yet. It's like, you know, this is our first real big, like, all right, kid, sink or swim. Here you go.
No, but it's not only that, but it's just she hasn't been very good in the ring. I just gotta admit that. Like, she's not good. Like, it's hard to say for me to say that because I've always been a big fan of her even since the independent scene, but it's like I'm not seeing the same person that I saw then. That's all. Like, you know, that's just what it is. I'm not seeing the same person.
Yeah,
and then the flip side of that, I was gonna say, and the flip side of that coin is Ronda Rousey, where like a lot of that novelty has worn off for Ronda, where she's very hit or miss depending on what city she's in. Either she's gonna get a great reaction or the crowd's gonna be just disinterested. This title run's really not it. It's basically I'm at a point with Ronda as a champion where it's like, all right, when is Sasha or Charlotte coming back? Even Naomi. Once we need someone to A, feud with Ronda, and B, get that belt off of her.
I mean, honestly, there's nights I just forget that SmackDown has a women's champion.
Also true. We got Curvin. It makes a great point, and I say the same thing. I'd take Ronda for 4 years ago over this Ronda 2022. Yeah, it doesn't have the same, like Ronda felt like she was trying a lot more and a lot harder. She was working harder back in 2018 to prove herself, and I feel like she's just living off of her name in 2022, unfortunately. And y'all know I'm a fan of Ronda Rousey. I like her work. I enjoyed the Ronda Shayna pairing, but as far as the matches on Premium Live Event this year, it's been the WrestleMania Backlash match against Charlotte, and then everything else has been bad.
Yeah, it's been lackluster. It's been a quick, less than 10-minute match that you don't know what you're gonna get, and you know that's just what it's become at this point.
I do like the pairing. At this point, I kind of want them to go after those tag team titles and take it off of Io and Dakota.
It's actually right. I mean, I don't know.
I have more faith in WWE giving them a dominant reign than Damage Control. That's for sure.
I mean, when it comes to this, when they're saying that she's trying, I was like, bro, how long are you gonna give? How long are you gonna give somebody a pass to that? Saying like, oh, they're trying. If they haven't been good at this point, you got to just tell it like it is. And for some, like I said, for somebody who's been a big Shotzi fan, she has not been good in the ring. Like that's just what it comes down to. She hasn't been good in the ring. Like Like, what you want me to lie about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she hasn't been good.
Definitely not on the main roster. I can't tell you a good or great Shotzi matchup on the main roster since she got called up a year and a half ago now. It's been a while now. But let's move on to the next match, the final match we're going to be covering here, which was the WWE United States Championship triple threat match with Bobby Lashley as well as Austin Theory. I don't know what this sign was in his entrance, but hey. And of course, Seth Rollins defending the title here. The Boston crowd absolutely loved them some Seth Rollins here. Lashley dominated early, but Theory prevented him from potentially winning by pulling the referee out of the ring, which was a callback to Lashley costing Theory the title on his cash-in. They fought outside the ring, and Theory dropped Lashley with the steel steps. Theory then worked over Rollins in the ring, but Rollins eventually made a comeback back, hit some big dives to the outside at one point, had the crowd on their feet with this sequence here. Bobby Lashley at one point showing off his power, getting a double hurt lock. The ending saw Seth basically had both men down and sprung off of Austin Theory with a curb stomp to Bobby Lashley. Then Theory and Seth were going at it. Seth eventually went to the top rope with Theory, hit the superplex, and then looked for the Falcon Arrow, but Bobby Lashley came in, hit the spear, and Theory fell on top of Rollins. 1, 2, 3. Austin Theory has regained the WWE United States Championship. I thought this was a super fun match. Like I said, it had the Boston crowd on their feet and probably had the best in-ring action of any match on the night. I gave it 4 stars. Really exciting way to put the title back on Austin Theory and to complete this 3-week rehab for him. But what was the fucking point of him losing Money in the Bank then? If you just was going to put the title on him 3 weeks later.
That's what I said. I said that shit last night. I was like, what was the point of all that?
Oh, it was to do the character change. You could have did the character change without giving him the worst Money in the Bank cash-in of all time. And at the very least, if he's going to fail, have him fail against Roman. Have him fail against fucking Roman and then do the character change. You idiots! What is? I swear to God, I feel like this dude changed his last name to McMahon when he married Stephanie with some of these bonehead decisions. He has layups and he goes back to half court and shoots half court shots. A lot of these times, the babyface is having the advantage in the men's war games. Fucking Theory, the whole booking for Theory, damage control, Liv Morgan's reign. Like, no one, and I feel like I'm going nuts because not enough people talk about this shit. Talk about this bonehead fucking booking that this new man has done.
I mean, I've been wanting to talk about it, and I get the typical response of, "Oh, give Triple H time. Give him time." You saw that. You saw my post when I said it. Remember when I said it, and what was somebody's response? Give him, oh, he's trying. Give him time. Like, bro, he's been fucking booking for the last 3 months already, right? And it's like, if Vince McMahon, every time he got shitted on, every time he made a dumb decision, I'm just giving the same energy back. Triple H has not been great. Like, all the shit, all the praise that he was getting, that honeymoon stage is over for me. Like, he hasn't been great, especially the last few weeks. He has not been great with his booking. And this is kind of a prime example of it. Like, yeah, you give the title back to Theory, but then what the fuck was the point of him losing his Money in the Bank where this new attitude could have freaking benefited him actually having a briefcase, because he would have been a more serious person that you could see, oh, he's going to cash in. I'm not saying he's going to win, but he could have held on to the briefcase for almost a year, and, that would have been more presentable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just confused by the booking. I think the booking has been very good over the last 3 weeks, mostly over the last 3 weeks for Austin Theory. I just didn't think the starting point should have started in that way to get us there. But Justin, what did you think about the match and Theory winning in the end?
The match was fantastic. I went into this pay-per-view thinking this was going to be the one that might steal the show, and it absolutely did. I was from start to end. They had my attention. They had me just captivated. Theory winning. I was surprised. I didn't really expect it. I like Theory winning, but then you guys said it perfectly. It was like, what the hell was the reason for the failed cash in if this is the end game? You could at least had him cash in on Roman and lose, and that's how you lose the briefcase. Or B, win the title here, and he still has the briefcase. And that could be a storyline that plays into Rumble.
Romeo said the same thing last night. He was like, yo, you still could have had him because the match itself, right? The match he lost it in, by the way, it was a fucking open challenge match. It was an open challenge match. And he still could have won the title.
Yes.
He easily still could have won the title while having a briefcase. And even with that, he could have found a way to even talk more shit about it. He could have been more obnoxious. He could have been more arrogant, having both. And instead, you take the briefcase off of him. You give him this title, which is like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you know, you like the new attitude, but it's just the fact that it's like, damn, you just had a big missed opportunity to further his progression.
Yeah. And like, if you, I just don't understand why they didn't have him just cash it and lose on Roman. That's what you do.
Or not, don't even cash it on Roman yet, because you have, this is the last pay-per-view for WWE's main roster until Royal Rumble. You have 2 full months of TV to fill. You could have easily did that with, now that Theory is US champion, maybe he has his sights on being a double champion. That would be a perfect time to have that briefcase. Won't he cash in? And that's something you could play all the way into Rumble. But they took that off the board.
I don't get it, and I know the usual excuse is, oh well, you know, Vince put the briefcase on Theory, so that wasn't really what Triple H does. So he took care of the briefcase because he didn't really want that. But no, he could have done it better. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like even if you didn't want Theory with the briefcase, put him in a fucking match where he loses the briefcase. Make his briefcase on the line so he could lose it. That's an easier way.
And put it on the guy you want to have it. Yeah,
exactly. Or if he loses it, lose it to Roman. There's no shame to losing to Roman. At least you tried it. You cashed in, right? You cashed in on the world champion, right? You lose to him. There's no shame to that. But to lose it to a mid-card title, especially the way he lost to Seth, Seth kicked out like 5 times. By the way, not only he got beat down by Lashley. He kicked out like 5 times just to win the match, just for himself to win the match. It's just the way it was done.
Yeah. I do agree with this, Daryl, though. The cash in was stupid, but I do believe Austin is better off with the briefcase. I do think he's better off without the briefcase. It's just the object of getting the briefcase off of him. There was multiple different ways to do it. And honestly, the reports that came out beforehand with the idea of Austin Theory holding on the briefcase until Money in the Bank next year and almost running out of time or having the option to run out of time sounded a whole lot more interesting than what we got.
Honestly, they should have used him as that kind of product, because if you think about it, they haven't really done that yet with Money in the Bank. They haven't done it. So I think he would have been the perfect example of trying to stretch that out, because even with the Money in the Bank, I think lately they've been doing the quick cash-ins, which I'm not really a fan of, because it's like, what's the whole point of trying to build that up, trying to build up the Money in the Bank if you're just going to use it less than a month, right? Month in.
Especially with the women.
Yeah, especially with the women. The women, they did that shit the last 2 years. They did like less than 2 days, right? But it's like when it comes to that, I thought they should have done that. I felt like that should have been like the project for Austin Theory. Like, all right, we'll give him the briefcase. Let's see how this goes for a year, like where he's supposed to cash it. Let's see how that goes. I thought he would have been at least perfect for that.
Yeah, especially with his failed cash-ins and everything. You could have come up with different ways for him to have failed cash-ins and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, you had a guaranteed world title shot and you used it on the mid-card title and you lost. Like, that is just like
on an open challenge.
That's L after L, my dude. Like, you took L after L with your Money in the Bank cash in. Like, that's the worst one in history because the L's are on top of L's.
The best way,
that's just a rainbow full of L's.
Yeah, the way I described it was that a team, I was like, oh, that Austin Theory basically cashed in on the wild card round and not the World Series.
That's true. That's true. That's basically what he did. Basically what he did. But that is all the matches we've reviewed from WWE Survivor Series War Games. So you know what time it is. We got to put our thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down for the show. Match of the night, MVP, LVP, and out of 10, what did we give the show? You guys can sound out in the live chat. Last call for super chat donations. If you want to make sure your comment is read on screen, if you have a question or comment take about the show, this is the best chance to do it. But we got one more comment I want to feature here before we get to that. Skinny Kravitz Nets saying they don't talk about it because it's the same BS they say Tony Khan allegedly does. Don't even get me started on Bray not having a match since he's been back. They make excuses for that too. I'm okay with Bray not having a match, but like I said, there's some particular things right now in the Triple H regime that he's not doing well, or just could do it in a different way that would be more effective, and he's just not doing it. And I call out the same things for Tony Khan. I just want everyone to keep that same energy that we give to Tony Khan, to Triple H, to Triple H, to Tony Khan.
Yeah, and which even with Tony Khan stumbles, they still put on a great show. They still put on solid shows every week. You know, Raw really hasn't been that watchable for me, and it's like, you know, which out of the gate, like I said, when he took over out of the gate, they were watchable Raw shows. There was actually 2 that were great. Since then, it's been downhill.
Facts, but let's put our thumbs in the middle here, guys, for WWE Survivor Series War Games in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from everyone here. Out of 10, what did you give the show, Justin?
I'll give it a 7. Very solid. A lot of great things. Women's match was wasn't a perfect show, but it was good. 7.
7 out of 10 for Justin. What about you, Josh?
I gave it like a 6.5. Like I said, it was a passable show. That's why I said passable, because I mean, like I said, it was a passable pay-per-view. It was a good overall show. Few solid matches. Compared to last year's Survivor Series, this was way better. Like, so I mean, if that's the thing that you're trying to, you know, pass over, that's easily why it's a passable show.
If that's the bar you're trying to eclipse, you could do it pretty easily, right there.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, you did good.
I'm gonna be the high man here. I gave the show 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a really good show. I thought both the men's and women's war games delivered good action, and of course the men's war games had one of the best finishes for WWE this year with the Sami Zayn stuff. The women's war games gave us plenty of great action throughout, some big spots and big moments there. So I enjoyed that and really enjoyed the United States Championship match. I don't know if I gave a rating. I gave that 4 stars. But that was a really good matchup. So much fun to watch Seth do his thing. Bobby Lashley looked good, and then Austin Theory, of course, getting the win. And I thought AJ and Balor was good. Shotzi, Ronda, notwithstanding, I thought that's a good show, top to bottom. 7.5 out of 10. Not the best WWE show of the year, but definitely a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of comments here with people giving their choices for MVP and LVP. Chris saying MVP Becky Lynch. Safet saying MVP Sammy. LVP Safet saying Shotzi versus Ronda and Damage Control. Justin, who is your MVP for the show?
Sami Zayn. The show was basically built around Sami Zayn. What's he going to do with the bloodline? How is this going to happen with him and Kevin Owens and their interactions? The entire War Games match is built with that storyline, him having to work with Jey Uso, will they, won't they, stuff like that, and teases. The finish, Roman embracing Sami at the end, Jey finally embracing Sami. How is anyone else leaving this pay-per-view on a bigger high than Sami Zayn right now?
Josh, what about you?
Mine's I gave it to two people. I gave it to Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn because of the outcome. He benefited most from the outcome. And Roman Reigns played it smart. You know, like I said, man, the man was sitting in the chair the whole time. He came out last. He only had to work 10 minutes. In the War Games match, you know, people got to learn from him. You know, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I go with co-MVPs this time. I go with Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, because he only worked 10 minutes, sat in a chair for 28 minutes. That's making the smirking smarter, not harder. And I like that. I agrees with that. And Austin Theory for completing the 3-week build-up that started like shit, but he looks strong coming out of it. So got to give him credit for that. LVP for the show, Josh.
Last night I said Shotzi, but then I changed my mind. I'm gonna give it to Damage Control because, I mean, like I said, the outcome does absolutely nothing for them. They got double pinned, so I mean that's a bigger L than Shotzi. So I got to go with Damage Control.
Justin, what about you?
Damage Control, man. As a tag team, a collective, a record label, and a mother effing crew. You know that Sheamus banger after banger after banger. You could do that with Damage Control. L after L after L. A whole series of L's. It's like, where do we really go from here? And these are your tag team champions. How is anyone else in the women's division like, yo, just pair up and just take these belts off of Dakota and Io? They're extremely vulnerable and they can be beat. So what are we doing here with Damage Control long term?
Facts. He ain't doing much with Damage Control here. Like, you guys make the best argument, so I gotta agree with y'all that yeah, Damage Control deserves to be LVP. I got co-LVPs as well. I got Damage Control, all of the baby faces in the men's War Games, because they got no pops. That was my biggest issue with that babyface advantage. Like, if the babyfaces have the advantage and all of them get pops going to the ring, I would have said nothing, and I would have said I was wrong. I was wrong for freaking out about the babyfaces having the advantage because all the babyfaces got huge pops. Outside of Kevin Owens getting a slight pop because he was just as Dustin Rhodes, did any of the babyfaces get a pop when they came out? Nope. So, no, it is not the right thing to have the babyfaces have the advantage in War Games. Stop doing that. Oh, it's predictable when you do it the same way all the time. That's the first fucking time. What are we talking about? Shit, y'all. We got a bunch of comments here with their LVP. So yeah, mine is Damage Control and the baby faces in the men's War Games, but also yeah, Shotzi and Ronda. Yeah, that was not good. Skinny says LVP to both teams with the advantage because they both took L's anyway, plus Damage Control for obvious reasons. And Justin, I will ask you the final one, match of the night. What was the match of the night?
The triple threat for the United States title. It came in with high expectations. It delivered, and then some. Well done, boys.
Josh, what about you?
The triple threat match. I don't know. They had high expectations, but they definitely had a certain expectation, and it passed that. So, that was probably match of the night for me.
As far as in-ring action, I would say that's the best match, but I'm here for everything, and I love me some storytelling, so I'll go with the men's War Games.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with either way. You can't go wrong with that. So.
Absolutely. Vicenzi says, great as it is that Theory is more serious, badass guy, he at least could have kept doing the selfies. They were funny. Let's say selfie after he beat someone down. Nah, it was a second match gimmick, Vicenzi. If they're going to build him as this rising heel that's going to rise his way up the ranks, then he has
to be serious. And that's why I was like, this would have been a better situation if he was this character as Money in the Bank, because he would have been taken seriously.
Absolutely agree with you there. But that brings us to a close on our WWE Survivor Series War Games Roundtable review. Want to thank you all for joining us live here. If you're watching us on demand, thank you as well. Justin, thank you for stepping in the last minute, stepping in the clutch, joining us here, making it a real roundtable. Let the people know where they can find you on social media, sir.
can find me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at It's Justin Rich. You can find me on Twitch on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 talking on Those Wrestling Girls Fan Club. We talk wrestling over there. From time to time, you can catch me on Twitter Spaces talking Turnbuckle Talk on Tuesdays with Mimi and Corey and them. And from time to time, you can see me on True Heel Heat Sports talking NFL, talking Giants, talking Yankees, all the sports. I'm out here. I'm active.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining us for sure. Josh, let the people know where they can follow you on social media and when you'll be back here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel.
You can follow me at JMPunk321, Twitter and Instagram, mostly Instagram. And I'll be back tomorrow for Rated Raw Superstars. And then Wednesday for Elite Heat, I'll be back on.
Absolutely. And you can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I'll be back here on the channel on Thursday, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with AE Ramble. You could also follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Instagram, Twitter, if it's still around, at True Hill Heat. You follow us over there. Follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. Like Justin said, subscribe over to True Hill Heat Sports. We'll be going live with our NFL weekly watch along coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So just a couple of minutes away. Jump over there and subscribe. So you got to get all your notifications whenever we go live over there. And check out patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month. The True Hill Heat Prediction Championship. Extra exclusive content, including my Raw report reviewing Raw each and every week, is up over there. So check it out, patreon.com/True Hill Heat. Well, that brings us to a close. I want to thank everyone for joining us. This is one of our best live review numbers for one of our roundtable reviews. So we appreciate y'all for joining us. Remember to drop the thumbs up on the video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Daily exclusive content here on the YouTube channel. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Rated Raw Superstars, watching Monday Night Raw, Tuesday NX3, Wednesday Elite Heat. So hit the bell to stay notified so you always get alerted whenever we go live, and join us over at True Hill Heat Sports. And check out True Hill Heat 202 from yesterday with myself, Miss Chrissy Love, and Deidre of House of Wrestling, as we talked about the weekend wrestling and previewed Survivor Series. So go over and check that out. So for Justin, for Josh, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been our WWE Survivor Series 4